In news just in, the urgent application to interdict the 14th ANC Gauteng elective conference has been struck off the roll with costs. Today marks the end of a mourning period for the AmaZulu royal family and the AmaZulu nation, paving the way for the coronation of King Misuzulu Gazwelithini. And an Alexander community leader has called for help for more than 200 families who've been left homeless after a fire razed down their homes. We continue with our breaking news story. An urgent application to block the 14th ANC Gauteng elective conference has been struck off the roll with costs. In his ruling, Judge Motsamai Makume of the Johannesburg High Court questioned the timing of the legal application to interdict the Congress. In court papers filed today, a delegate from the ANC Ekurhuleni region, that's Jabulani Sithole, wanted the National Executive Committee's resolution for the sitting to proceed to be set aside. For the latest on this, let's cross live to our reporter, Mbali Thethani. Mbali, of course, more reaction to this breaking news story. This must be welcome news for members of the PEC, which were named as respondents in the legal bid.
That's right, Ntlantla. Of course, we have seen efforts by Jabulani Sithole from one of the branches in Ekurhuleni to try and halt the proceedings of this conference from going ahead. Of course, you would remember that he had issues around those quarantined votes from 5 branches from Ekurhuleni. And of course, the decisions taken by the PEC to allow them to still continue and allow this conference from going ahead, and also allow those branch members to participate in this conference, also allowing those votes to be quarantined. But bringing me up to speed now with the proceedings of what happened in court and the ANC's reaction. I think I'm going to start off with you, Bule, from the national office. Of course, we've seen court action before in the ANC. This is nothing new, especially with provincial conferences. Your immediate reaction to that matter now being struck off the roll?
Well, thanks, Mbali. Well, of course, we are happy. But you'd recall that earlier on when the chair spoke to yourselves, the chairperson of the province, Comrade David Makura, did indicate that we are comfortable that the ANC will emerge victorious on this one, because our internal processes in the organization are foolproof. So this again confirms, and it has been a trend. We've been winning all of these cases, which begins to suggest that the new membership system that we had adopted coming out of the 54th National Conference is really working to restore the credibility of the African National Congress. We do welcome the ruling. It now means that the Gauteng Provincial Conference is in full steam. We can assure the people of South Africa that this conference is not going to collapse. By the time we finish this conference, we'll have concluded the business of conference. I'm going to hand over to the chair of the province so that you could, because I know that he was a bit worried about what this could mean if a different ruling was arrived at.
All right. Your reaction, Chair, in terms of, the outcomes of the court. You have remained confident, saying that, this is something that you can get through as the Gauteng ANC, and indeed, we're now seeing this conference officially going ahead.
Yes, of course, we are very pleased that our conference is proceeding, and the court decision in that sense is in our favor. But the way the ANC works is that even those remember this was one delegate, in fact, and later some of those who were aggrieved came here. They were also met this afternoon, just after I spoke to you. They were also met by our team that does the credentials to explain to them what the decisions of the PEC were. Our conference, we want to make sure that everybody participates in the conference of the ANC, because this is about building, rebuilding the ANC, renewing the ANC. But we also want to ensure that people who are here have really passed through this very rigorous gates of the ANC. We've got lots of gates through which you have to pass for this. And the other thing, we also have dispute resolution mechanisms, a region, a province, and the National Dispute Resolution Committee. So when we have gone through those processes, that's the basis of our confidence that we will be able, and I said that our national office and the province are quite clear that we will be able to say before any court that our processes have been fair. And any other matter we tabled here before the conference, the issues about what the next step is on any dispute or any issue in the branch, they belong to conference. But this conference is underway, really. It's underway. I think we're going to complete what we do tonight. Obviously, we're tight. We lost a lot of time. But this conference is still going to discuss in commissions what policy positions we have to take to our national policy conference to end our 55th national conference. And I still want to assure the people of Gauteng that the way we have structured the commissions, there will be issues that have to do with crime, issues of that have to do with urbanization and migration in there, the issues of education and health, the issues of jobs and the economy, human settlements, development, energy, electricity, basic services. Those issues we may have delayed to get to them. We may not have a lot of time tomorrow to discuss all of them, but they will be discussed in the commissions, and we will make sure that that work of ensuring the delegates have pointed out sharply, this is what the ANC needs to do. We will be able to assess what more we need to do. We may need to reconvene, but we will come out of here with the delegates having set to apply their minds. They were sent here by the branches of the ANC from communities to say, please make sure our water problem, the people of Hammanskraal want the branches of the ANC that are here to come back and say, what did the conference say about our water problem? So we may have delays that would have been caused by this, but the court, at least the court allows us to proceed. But we are going to do everything to recover the lost time. So far, so good.
Outgoing Chair, you're already talking about time to reconvene much later on. What does this say about the business of the day? We know that because of the outcome, you can go ahead full steam and continue with your conference. What else can your delegates expect today? Can we still see that organizational report? Can we still see the Treasurer's report? Are we still going to see credentials being a very important one being adopted? When can we expect those nominations as well?
I certainly chaired the discussions on the credentials. I've been standing for a while. The good thing is that delegates were just asking questions. It was a very good environment. They were asking questions. What about this? What about that branch? What about this issue? Have you ensured that that matter of that area has been attended to? So the NEC and the PEC team that's working together here is currently just in session to make sure that the delegates will be able to be satisfied that we here basically having done everything. Yes, we will receive the 2 reports tonight. We will review at what point we are with regard to by the time we finish and what is the feeling of conference. You know, when you chair conference, there are also moments where you ask conference, do you want us to proceed to the next item on the agenda? If you're feeling tired, do you want us to deal with this matter tomorrow morning? So that's how things proceed. But let me say to you, in the run-up to this conference, we had lots of heated issues. But at this conference, not even here, in the venues of the conference where the delegates are sleeping, you are not seeing people who are running around protesting around this place, saying they want to come into conference, because we have dealt with all those issues. Those who may have come here and then they have been, we found that you are not supposed to be the delegate. We did lots of work. We've been able to say to them, please go home peacefully. We are a peaceful place. You will attend the next conference if you have followed proper procedures.
All right, okay. Just my last question to you, Pule, also just coming back to this court action. I mean, we've seen it in many of your provincial conferences. We've seen it even in some of your regional conferences. What does it say to ANC members who don't want to use the avenues like the NDRC, which is available? The chair also touched on this, that even in Gauteng, they've dealt with more than 30 disputes. What does it say to some members of the ANC who still don't want to resolve these matters within the party and still resort to going to court?
Well, perhaps the fact that the courts are ruling in the manner that they are doing, that should serve to enlighten them, to say to them they must place reliance on ANC's internal processes. Because it looks like there is no hope for these cases that they are lodging. So again, we are appealing to them. I mean, we are not an arrogant leadership that says because we have scored victory in various of these court actions that were brought against us, therefore we must. The chair himself is not even saying we are now going to consider dismissing those that would have taken the case to court, because we understand they've exercised their rights. We've also acknowledged ourselves in our own briefings that we've become such a litigious organization. So we've got to make sure that we tighten our processes and make this appeal once more that please, comrades, use internal mechanisms of the ANC. They are sufficient. You recall, Chair, before the 54th National Conference, we never had the NDRC.
Yeah.
But after having observed that we are having to deal with a number of these disputes, we have then established all of these structures. We've got PDRC in provinces, we've got the NDRC at the national level, and we've been consistent in the manner in which we've been giving out verdicts on issues brought before the NDRC.
Thank you very much. Of course, that is the spokesperson of the ANC, Pule Mabe, along with the outgoing chairperson of the ANC in Gauteng, David Makume, also talking about those members of the ANC who continue to take the party to court. You would know, Nhlanhla, that in many of their conferences, you'd remember Mpumalanga had the same issue. You'd also remember even in the Eastern Cape, there was legal action against the ANC, but as indeed saying that from the 54th conference, they then decided to have this dispute resolution committee to try and deal with some of the issues that continue to come out from the ANC. But of course, that legal action, that court action coming from Jabulani Sithole has failed. And of course, we continue to see this conference going ahead. Like David Makume said a bit earlier on, saying that because it is quite late, they will have to then speak to delegates in terms of what happens now with the program, because there's still so many outstanding issues that they still need to deal with. The organizational report is outstanding. Treasurer's report is outstanding. They still need to adopt those credentials. There still needs to be nomination. And there's only now 1 day left for this conference to deal with all of those things. But of course, saying that this is something that maybe they'll even have to decide whether on some of the other items left on the agenda, whether the ANC will have to reconvene as a province to continue to have those commissions, because they have a huge task ahead of them. One thing that is quite important and quite central for the ANC in Gauteng in this conference is the roadmap to 2024, because they would be aware that critics and political analysts continue to say that the ANC in Gauteng can dip below the 50% mark. So they really need to get the work going in terms of how they plan to will the voters in Gauteng in their favor, so that they ensure that come 2024, they retain their position in Gauteng.
Well, thanks there to our reporter, Mbali Thethani, who's keeping a close watch as we get more reaction to our breaking news story. Of course, that illegal bid to try and stop the ANC's elective conference in Gauteng having failed. And Judge Motsamai Makume said earlier in his ruling that he was not satisfied with the urgency as outlined by the applicants in this particular matter, dismissing that matter, removing it from the court roll as well, and also applying costs.